I think so.
What's up? Welcome to episode 9 of the Staff Meeting Podcast. This week, we have the Dawgfather himself, Tyler Franklin, joining us. Tyler, Dan, and I are all in a very fairly large group chat called the SAC for the PG versions. And so fired up to get him on. It's one of those, like, me and Dan have been like, hey, we got to make this happen, And then eventually we're just like, hey, we have to stop saying, let's make it happen, and just get with Tyler and organize a date. So, Tyler, thanks for coming on, especially on your spring break. Thanks for hopping on with us for a little bit.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. I'd rather be here than at work right now. So let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like spring break for everybody came at just a perfect time.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is late in the year, and it sucks getting there, but by the time it's over and we only got like 4 weeks, I'm grateful we waited. But it's a beautiful week so far, so
good. Heck yeah. All right. As usual, we're just going to jump right into it. And kind of what I said before we started is the benefit of not having a episode template that we have to run by all the time, because we're 9 episodes in, and we also get to call the shots on what we do. So we're going to start with a rapid fire conditioning segment. You just keep or cut it off the cuff, and we're going to roll through. It looks, I think I got like 10 things written down. Let's try to be rapid fire through these as fast as we can. Okay.
I bet we get through maybe 6.
6. I'll take the over there. I'll take the over. I tried to organize them in a way
under 5.5.
Gassers.
I don't do them in my class. I think they get too much hate. I think everything is a matter of context, honestly. I'm sure you guys have ran gassers before, but you're not DAs about how to do the work-rest ratio.
So keep or cut.
Let's keep them, man. That's some good volume right there.
Stationary bike intervals.
You added those to my program. It changed my life.
It's a good way to go see God and take it easy on the ground contacts.
Yeah. There's a few of our football players, if they watch this episode, they're going to like follow you on Instagram and Twitter and just hate message you for them, because I've been kicking a few asses with them.
I'm a fan of them.
Just play the game to get conditioned.
I think that's silly. And I think, again, context, it depends on your practices and your games, but nobody's sharing their practice template really or the data. I think TK does a great job of monitoring their practice and their loads, but that dude still does conditioning. So I'm going to cut that.
Okay. We're cutting it. Barbell complexes, dumbbell complexes.
Keep them.
Anything like that. Keep them.
I did one this morning.
Yes. Post lift circuits. Just like beating the volume up.
I love volumes. Let's keep them.
I see a theme.
Time miles.
I think those are good, man. Like 1 mile, I think it's a great way to see who has some mental grit about them. And I mean, obviously aerobic capacity has to play in a part of that too. Let's keep them.
I know you're a fan of these, so I think I know where this one's going to go, is chase drills.
Yeah, we love them. I'm about that life. I honestly, I would take chase drills over time sprints.
That's one to get in on. We got one more, and then we're going to come back to that one. A small-sided games of any capacity.
Love them. Keep them.
So that's kind of, especially when me and Dan, remember when you started your Instagram and it kind of came out of nowhere, and you were like, hey, I don't know where this is going to go. And then you dove in on this like sprint prep games type thing. So when you're coming up with those drills, where does that come from? Because I'm not a creative guy, but I'm really good at stealing stuff and like taking these pieces from people's games. So like you Leach, Greg, you guys all do a great job with that stuff. And so I try to steal these little pieces from y'all. But where do you, the creativity part of it, where's that like start?
I literally just throw shit at the wall, man. Just try, like, my brain goes to thinking of different angles that we could achieve in some of these games. Like I told Joel on another podcast, like, my first hours are great. They do great of like letting me try stuff with them and giving me feedback for the rest of the day that we do stuff. But literally, I'm just coming up with crazy stuff to do to try to get them to first something new. Like we very very seldom play the same game twice. But something new, some nuance that they could, their brain has to work to, first of all, grasp the directions that we're doing in a short amount of time. And the intent is usually pretty high, especially when if I'm recording stuff and I look back and I'm like these kids are trying. Like sometimes I get so caught up in the moment of the lazy kids that I'm like, man, like these suck. But when I go back and I look at some of the stuff I recorded, like a majority of my kids are trying really hard. They're having fun. They're creating great angles in some of these games, and a good chunk of them, they're getting to blast their friends with a dodgeball. So
even the one I sent you the other day, the kids, I love the way that the kids just get after it and compete. And like you just said a minute ago, we weren't timing anything, but at the end of the day, I guarantee you, anecdotally, if I had set up lasers for that finish line, we would, almost every single kid would have PR'd. Like, there's something to beating the person that you picked out to beat and beating your friend and competing against them and actually having that physical target. Like the videos, as I was watching them, like you just said, there were kids like sprinting their butts off faster than they've ever, like with more intensity and more intent than they've ever done before. It's just changes the game, man. It's crazy.
Well, it does. I mean, if you're playing like a sport, that's what you're doing, is competing. And like fly tens get, like, of course, like, fly tens, sprints, where your time, like, you're competing with yourself, especially if you're not in the same like miles per hour range. I'm not going to be able to like run a 0.99 like as hard as I try. But if you set up a game, like, I might be better at attacking angles than someone that's straight line faster than me. It gives me a little edge. And I think the games, like that, I think that holds a lot more merit than running these time sprints. And like the week before last week, do what?
We're always talking about all of these. Oh my gosh, my internet sucks. We're always talking about the skills, right? The skills that translate over to the field and to performance. Like what you're talking about with attacking angles and choosing a better angle, knowing who you're going against. Like, is that person faster than me? Or are they slower than me? All right, so out of this turn or out of this this change of direction, what should my attack angle be? Do I need to take a more passive or aggressive angle? Like, those are the skills that, as a football coach, I'm always trying to teach and get our kids to understand. Well, if we can do that as a warm up in a game, but get them ready for our sessions, like, you can't beat that. We're killing two birds with one stone.
No. Like, and the problems they're having, like, just like the checklist you ran down, the problems they're having to solve in real time, that beats that beats running a 40-yard straight sprint to me. And I gave all of my students options last week after our warm up and all of our games. Like, if you want to run a fly 10 this week, you can. It's not going to be taken off your grade if you don't. And I had maybe like 5 or 6 each class. Like, that ship has sailed for me as far as like timing them and them, like, that their buy-in for that. And honestly, I couldn't care less about it either. But it's a way to check a box of, I know that we are getting faster. So that's my stance on the small-sided games.
And with them though, so a lot of your stuff you posted in the gym, is that just because of a space? Is that the closest space to you? or how's that logistically line up?
Yeah, so the way like our weight room is pretty small. So we're not doing any of that in the weight room. Like my racks are not, I have 9 racks in there that are not spaced out to regulation size just for the sake of getting
Suggestion.
the amount of
Yeah.
yeah. So our gym is set up. We have the gym. That's where kids come every day when we start our sessions, whether we end up going to the weight room or not. They change in there. That's our warm up area, and then where we time sprints is the hallway. We probably got 50-yard hallway in between the gym and then our weight room. So it's just a matter of efficiency and logistics that we'll start every day in the gym, regardless if we stay in there or not. I'm very grateful for that because a lot of people just have the small weight room to do stuff in, and it would make things extremely difficult. But I mean, just like the rest of us, I mean, we figured out how to get stuff done. But I'm grateful that I have the gym and then the big long hallway, and even the small hallway beside our weight room. I can run 5 to 10 flies in there as part of like what we do on sumo days.
Yeah.
We do sumo, we measure broad jumps, we do a short fly 10, and that's literally all we'll do in the weight room on Fridays. But yeah, it's just a matter of logistics, and it's real nice to have that space.
Yeah. And when you're coming up with those drills, when we're looking at them on Instagram and everybody's, sharing them all over the place, you like you said, it's always something different. Like I don't think I've seen you repeat a game yet. And so does that just come with like, hey, we're gonna try this today, like you said, with your first block? And is sometimes you get to that first block and they're like, Coach, I can't understand what we're trying to get done today. And then you're like, crap, here
No,
we go.
yeah, literally, like I'll throw, and a lot of these games are just it's the same concept with
Mhm.
different attacking different angles.
Yep.
Uh, and I've got some like 2 boys come to mind in my first hour that are good at coming up with crazy stuff too. I got a couple in 6 hour that love, like my 6 hour is super competitive. I always have to tell them to chill on our relay race stuff that we do. Like they would do that all day. And then there are some classes that aren't like I don't do any games with them some days just because they're too cool for school. So, but a lot of it is just throwing stuff at the wall, and if it sticks, it sticks. A lot of it looks a lot better on Instagram than it was executed when we played.
Yeah.
Which is,
We
which is
post the
everything.
good reps, right?
Yeah.
Only.
Like the burpee tag, which I stole from the girl that comes up with a lot of these challenges that owns a CrossFit gym. Like I did that with my first 3 classes of the day, and it exposed how unconditioned some of them are. Like they literally, one game lasted like 5 minutes where they were just jogging,
Okay.
but there was no like grit of like I'm about to catch this dude in front of me. They kind of just
Yeah.
like gave up. I'm like, you
Yeah.
guys are soft.
Yeah.
Like where's like the attack, and like
Hmm.
I'm about to get somebody. But yeah, my last 3 classes didn't play that game, but it's something like if I were to play it, it would be fun and challenging to try to attack somebody.
And
And
try to win. Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like I have a pretty good aerobic capacity, so I know that nobody's gonna beat me on that aspect. Like I'm gonna get you, like I'm gonna compete and get you. Uh, but yeah, a lot of it's just let's see what we can come up with today, and
And when you're creative like
sometimes they're
that,
bangers and sometimes they're not.
I think it also exposes, because some of the drills that I've stolen from you and done exposes what kids can and can't do from a reflexivity perspective. So one of my favorite ones is having the one partner starts on the baseline on their belly, the other person is standing up at the half court line, and they have to broad jump, and and they have to get to the other end line before they get tagged. So the person on their belly can sprint, the person at half court has to broad jump. And watching them try to repeat broad jump, I can diagnose very simply, very quickly, like who's unable to perform a reflexive broad jump where we're still using our knees, and who ends up turning it to a hinge. Where are knees caving, whose strength, like what are the things that we need to work on in the weight room just from watching them play.
No, 100%. I mean, you can see mechanically, like, and I would probably say there may be 25, 30% of my kids, like, their repeated broad jumps look legit, and the rest of them, after two, like, mechanically just fall apart. I'm
It's
like,
that awkward gallop thing that
yeah.
happens.
and and that's where, like, you can have those conversations with those kids. Hey, like, if you would just keep it together like you did these first two, like, you're gonna smoke, like, this kid's never gonna catch you. And I don't know if it's the chase aspect, like, mentally, they don't wanna get caught, but I'm like, just keep it together and keep being smooth. You don't have to rush. Like, your jumps are pretty good distance to where if you just maintain that and keep rhythm, they're not gonna catch you. But 75% of them just go to trash quick.
I bet you see a lot of great throwing mechanics on that dodgeball too.
It's hard.
Some Uncle Rico's.
Yeah, like, I'll be throwing out, like, I've seen better arms on a chair. Some of them, like, you can tell have never had, like, PE at an elementary or even middle school level where they threw things. But it's hilarious. But it's also fun to see the ones that, again, it's usually a baseball or a quarterback that have very smooth transitions of a nice spin and pick and throw.
Mhm.
Like, it's some of those things are a thing of beauty, and some of them you can't teach the smoothness or just the reactivity part of knowing how to control your body and everything in one smooth for all. But
It's such a skill throwing off platform too. Like it's
it
not,
is.
you can't pick that up by never doing it. Like you have to do
No.
that live in order to try to figure it out. And you can tell real quick the dudes, like you said, that have played like middle infield, that have played quarterback. You can tell real quick who's done that.
Yeah, so that it's fun to watch some of these slappies try to throw. I'm just like, good Lord help you.
Are you using the ones that we all grew up with, the like palm sized rubber ball, or is it like the foam ball?
Bro, I wish we got to use those rubber balls. It's natural selection just happening on its own right there. But
Yeah.
we have a professor at Murray State that sends student teacher and interns down, and she is not a fan of dodgeballs. But I think she tells me she loves the way I implement this stuff because it's not like your traditional dodgeball. And I'm like, I love traditional dodgeball. There's so much, if they're competing and moving around in a game of dodgeball, there's a lot of good stuff happening in that. But I told her, I was like, I just wish we could go back to those rubber dodgeballs and just, like, let's injure some kids today.
Especially the palm size ones, the ones you can grab and like really get behind. Not the giant where you have to like two-hand it, but the in my palm and being able to rip it.
My first year teaching, we played a staff versus student dodgeball game, and it was my first year teaching, so they asked me to be in it. And I saw this football kid standing over in the corner, like trying to not get hit, and he was in the game. So I rear back and rip it, and it's the old school style dodgeball, right? And it's going straight for this kid. And then this band kid that I've never seen before steps right in the middle and hits him in the face, knocks his glasses off, knocks him to the ground. And the gym goes silent. And I'm just standing there in the middle of the floor, had just released this dodgeball, and I felt really bad. But that was 90% of the students had never met me before, and that's their introduction to Coach Mullins.
That's where you just got to point at him and be like, bro, get off the floor. Like,
you're out.
Get out. Yeah. He popped up and everything was cool. There. So, yeah.
So,
I'm sorry I got us way off there.
Building on these games, right? So how long is your class period? Like, I'm trying to give some logistics here for like people that see the clips, but then don't necessarily understand like our full context that you're working with.
No, I get a lot of questions on that. And like my class period, I think bell to bell is 50 minutes. So I'm dealing with probably 40 minutes of work time by the time they change at the beginning and end.
Yeah.
And the games are literally like 10 to 12 minute snapshot of the day. Like I said, some classes we'll do a couple more rounds because they're into it than other classes. Some classes will be like, hey, I just want you to get 3 reps a piece of this, switching who's chasing and all that good stuff. But it's literally a 10, maybe at the most 15-minute snapshot. I try to set up, if I can, like the same game in different areas. So we got two or three rolling at a time. And if you're playing the chase games, everybody can go from baseline to half court to the chase games. We can get a lot more reps in than the dodgeball games. But yeah, it's 50 minutes and I have them every day for a full year. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we were in the weight room, and I started going just to get out of the weight room for our warm up. We started doing warm ups in the gym and then heading in there to do our main sets and then some accessory work after. And Tuesday and Thursday, we're in the gym the whole day. We don't even go in the weight room at all.
With those days, right? We talk about it in the weight room, and I know we've talked about it before. It's like, what's so special about next Thursday? If you have a day or a game lined up, and you're just like, this is gonna be better than anything we get done, will you just let them rip it for the time period? Like, have you just punted the weight room session because you're like, we're getting out great work in here, there's no need to waste today?
There's a couple of days and there's a couple of classes that they can stay competitive and are really into the games that we've like, hey, or I've wagered with them, like, we keep the intensity level high in here, we'll go and we'll literally only hit our main sets, which we're doing 5-3-1 right now. We'll hit our 3 sets. It's going to take 12 minutes. So we can keep playing this. We can keep playing our games a little longer, hit our main set, and we'll be done for the day. And they're like, let's roll. Let's do it. But then again, like I said, some classes can't handle that because they get a little pissy or they're too cool.
They got to be a little more structured that way.
Yeah. And honestly, like we've discussed frustrations in our group chat. Like my mind, especially this time of year, like my mind's going to like, I'm going to stay in the gym for a majority of my stuff, doing athletic things, playing these games, chase games. And part of me wants to be like, hey, we're just going to hit a main lift today and maybe pair an accessory with that and be done with it. Like the longer I'm in here, especially like at school, like I'm just keep doing less and less in the weight room, I guess. And still achieve the same result. And I don't know, man, there's something that's in the weight room that's gets mentally exhausting for me, especially since I give grades. It's tough. And some of the stuff I posted on Instagram, just some days it gets harder to concentrate on the ones that are showing up and working hard because you're so consumed with these lazy kids to make sure that they're not getting the same grade as the ones that are working hard. And for the most part, it's easier for those lazy kids to work hard when we're doing games like we do, or I'm able to overlook them a little better in the gym and concentrate on the ones that show up with intent. So yeah, I'm always looking for ways for more efficiency and for my mentals to be better to where I can still do this year after year.
But there's something too when it comes to the simplicity of your training. Like as a coach, I want my skill work to be complex and our training and developmental work to be simple, so that way we can talk about our importance of having intent with those simple things, because there's definitely something to the ability to be streamlined and focused on those things. So the setup of what you're doing feeds right into development as a whole, because kids get burnt out on the weight room too. Like, as much as we want to try to not do that and try to switch things up and keep them engaged, the ability to get a lot of work done in a short amount of time doing fewer exercises is really important, and that's a skill. that has to be honed too when it comes to the programming side. But like you're talking about there, when it comes to, you know, dealing with difficult kids, and having your focus on the good while still keeping a thumb on what's going on with the bad. One thing we've talked about before, and it's come up from one of your posts, was moldy strawberries. So what's a moldy strawberry here, and what's that about?
So, I mean, it's kind of like a bad apple saying, I guess. I remember seeing this picture a couple of years ago of a basket of strawberries, and one of them had mold, and it kind of just went into how quickly that mold can spread when you're right there in a closed space. And the molded strawberries, they obviously have some type of leadership skills because they're able to influence, whether knowingly or unknowingly, to influence. And in my experience, some kids that in some history with me have worked very hard in the past, and these moldy strawberries influence these kids to not do as much in the weight room, not try as hard. Uh, and it's frustrating because, like I said, there's some quality about them that they're able to influence these kids if they could just tap into working harder and not be a molded strawberry and lift others up and show them like, hey, we can still have a good time and like get our work in instead of just not doing anything. So I mean, I say that a lot in my weight room. Obviously, like it has stuck with some of my kids. Like, don't be a molded strawberry and influence others for the better, because it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating because, like I said, they have something about these kids that they're able to influence the kids that work hard to do nothing.
Yeah, they're always leading somewhere. Like, I've had those
Yeah.
conversations of like, there's some kids that, whether you like to admit it or not, as the coach, like they got pull and they can
I got something.
influence kids to do whatever they want. And you try to have those conversations with them of like, hey, you specifically are pulling this team, this class period, like one way or another. And like, you can choose to lead everybody down this, like, hey, I don't want to do anything. Or we could have a really good time and you could have a really good career if you'll just not be a dick. Like, if you'll just
Yeah.
do what you're supposed to do.
Do what you're supposed to.
And like, you have to be here, especially in like your setup. Like, it's in class. You have to be here. Like, why would you not put effort in if you have to be somewhere? It doesn't make sense to me.
Question
Like
for
I
you.
had, what's up?
So you've got a molded strawberry, right? You've had conversations with them over and over and over again. You give them multiple chances, right? And you're not writing a kid off because you never know what could happen. But if we're trying to minimize the impact of that person on others, do you then go talk to their group mates about spraying some anti-mold repellent on themselves? Or like, how does that conversation work to try to minimize the impact? Or what are some steps that you guys take to minimize the impact of those moldy strawberries?
Our weight room, like I said, is tiny. So like they're never far from each other. I try to have conversations with that moldy strawberry. And if their behavior doesn't change, then yeah, I'll have a conversation with the ones at their rack, and be like, you worked really hard. I need you to tap into that last year. Like, I don't know what's happened of you being too cool to work. I don't know if you started driving, you got a girlfriend, like, but I need you to remember what that felt like to put work in and how good it felt every day leaving here, knowing that you gave your best effort. And for the most part, I think it works. I don't know. It's a question they'll have to answer themselves because I don't know. I'm convinced that probably 80% of my students just don't know what it's like to work hard. Uh, so I try to constantly stay on them, and I'm sure they get upset and pissed that they think they're working hard. But like zooming out, I'm like, you got a lot more in the tank. And there's part of me that like where I go through these frustrating days, I'm like, I just want to like program some CrossFit stuff and like literally hurt them, and make them feel like, well, this is what it's like. But they can't even, some of them can't even do the simple stuff that I program. I know they're not going to do the crazy stuff to try to, the ones getting punished would be the ones that work hard.
Yeah.
So that's a constant, that's a constant battle. I don't know if I answered your question correctly or not, but we got some anti-moldy strawberry spray. I'd love to have some.
That'd be nice. If somebody could find that out and figure out what that is, that'd be nice. Because those kids are always, they're in every program, right? Kind of what you said. Unfortunately, they're impactful kids most of the time. Like, very rarely, right, is it a slappy to that, like, because nobody pays attention to them, right? It's typically like a dude or like a stud in your class, and you're like, how do we fight this? How do we fight hey, this is an impactful kid. It's the captain on whatever team. It's the prom queen. It's the popular kid, right? And how do you combat that pull that they have just naturally? They didn't do anything for that, right? They just naturally have it. And then all of a sudden we're like, how do we pull that away from them? And everybody looks at you like you got 3 eyes.
Well, that's the post that I posted this morning. Like, the petty part of me sometimes wishes that they would fail, because like, I don't want you to think that you can just always do nothing or always do the bare minimum and still succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously I don't, especially a team sport, I don't want to see them fail for those reasons. But there's like that part of me is just like, I need you to understand you have to show up and put work in, even if you're not successful. And like I said, it's a dangerous lesson to teach them. And most of them end up being just the coolest kid in high school and never anything after that.
Yeah.
Which, like, I pray every night for my students to hopefully figure it out at some point. And I hope they figure it out before they leave me, because the real world will smack them in the mouth.
And that's something we talk about in our program, is having the ability to withstand that that instant gratification and the need for instant gratification. So like, even on those kids, like, they see the other kid barely working, but they're getting, better strength gains or better, athleticism outputs, whatever. And then this kid over here is just putting in work and doing work habitually over and over again. But for whatever reason, feels like they're spinning their wheels. I've had a few times in my career where that's happened. But that opens the door for that conversation. Be like, you have to be able to understand and be willing to play the long game and understand that you are building habits that are going to set you up for life, not necessarily set you up for high school football or basketball or whatever you play. And just trust that this is the right thing to be doing, and that at some point in your life, it's going to pay off.
And not enough kids experience, like, at least in my setting, right, experience adversity enough. That's something I talk about. And it's probably just in today's kids in general, because of travel ball culture, because of like, hey, I'll just go play for another team. I'll just transfer to a different school. I'll go do this. Like, they don't experience failure enough of whatever that looks like. It's even like day to day in a training setting, in a athletic setting. They get pulled in the classroom, they get pulled outside, they get pulled along. Like, they never have to be like, let me bury down here and let me go earn it. It turns into like, oh, we'll just stroke the check and you'll go join another team, or we'll just transfer high schools because that coach is mean to you. And I can't imagine my parents being like, hey, it's the coach's fault. I remember distinctly my dad being like, figure it out. Like, as soon as I got to 9th grade, when I got to high school sports, my dad's like, I'll be here to listen to you, but like, if you don't, the thing he said all the time was like, if you don't like your playing time, do something about it. And I'm like,
Do something.
like, and then in today's world, it's like, oh, all right, little Billy said he's not playing. We're just gonna move schools. And I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, when I hear a kid transfers because of they got cut from some team or they're not getting the playing time, I'm like, what happened to competing? What happened to like the life lessons you learn from that moving forward? It's mind blowing to me.
I had the kid doesn't play a sport, but he's works his butt off for me. He got caught cheating on a test in one of his math classes, and dude was almost in tears because he was worried about what was going to happen when he got home.
Yeah.
And I said, good for you.
That.
I said, good that you're more worried about what your parents are going to say than what's going to happen to you here at school. I said, because I feel in this day and age, that's rare, that most of the parents are going to say, well, the teacher or the principal or something must have done something wrong. My kid wouldn't do this.
The test was too hard.
Yeah. Like, if I ever got in trouble, immediately my parents were like, well, what did you do? Mm-hmm. All right, well, you're gonna take the consequence that they gave you, and there's gonna be repercussions when you get home. And the ones at home were always way worse. So I was I said, give your parents a high five, and I'm sorry that whatever is about to happen to you is about to happen to you, but this
Kids
is why
in tears, and Tyler's just like, dap your parents up when you get home.
I said, this is why we get along, and this is why you're a great kid.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you got people holding you to a standard that a lot of people aren't anymore. A lot of people aren't held to any sort of standard that outside of it, seemingly. Like, we don't know for sure, right? But seemingly we see it enough. And I think we as coaches often get put in positions we're not meant to fill, because we are the punishment and consequences of the kids, and we're the only time that they experience. And so, like, when you get on a kid, like, you almost have to make sure you got some sort of relationship capital built up, because you're like, all right, I'm about to drain it here, because now I'm going to have to go pick this back up. And inevitably the kids I kick out of the weight room at any time, depending on whatever team, like, it's not the kid that's never going to play a snap. It's not the kid that is, that I don't have a great relationship with. It's the kids that are players for us, because they show up with one of those attitudes one day, and you can see it from the jump, right? You're like, here we go. Like, it's going to be a day. Because, like, for me in the summertime, inevitably, it's like that last week right before football puts pads on, right before I give everybody a couple weeks off to get ready for school. And I'm like, here we go. Like, you feel it from the start. And I'm like, it's going to happen today. And yeah, you like get primed up. And I had to kick three seniors out that were 3-year starters for us, like the second to last day of summer weights, because I was like, guys, I'm not doing it. And I told them, and they kept BS. I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, boom.
Not up
10.
in here.
The best is when you do that and you have that conversation, but you're like super calm about it. And you just walk over and like, hey, look, you're not upholding the standard. I try to get you going, and for whatever reason, you're just bucking that. So you can just go ahead and take your stuff, go on back to the locker room, and then they're looking at you.
I'm mature enough for that yet, what? I guess. I gotta reach a different level of maturity for that.
I'm just so smart at it, man. I'm so sarcastic. I'm sure some kids just freaking hate me.
My sarcasm's gotten me in trouble a little bit, so you're not alone.
Itself out though, because the kids that get it, kind of the same thing. The kids that understand where you're coming from, like, they end up having the wherewithal to understand, like, oh, if he's saying something to me, like, I'm missing somewhere, and then they turn it on and do some reflection. But it's not a coincidence that it's the same kids that handle consequences well, handle like butt chewings well. They probably got parents at home, like you said, your boy on the math test. That's like, I'm not necessarily worried about getting a 0. Like, I'm worried about when I walk through that front door today, like, there's gonna be a problem.
So true.
All right, I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna do it. All right. So obviously, Feed the Dogs is pretty legit. Okay, it's a phenomenal for people that are unaware of what it is. I think it's a phenomenal take on what we do. And I think you were on. I think when you were on with Joel Seedman or Joel Smith, definitely not Joel Seedman. We were on with Joel Smith on Just Fly. You talked about it a little bit. We need to get him on next. Yeah, when you were talking about it a little bit, the name on purpose started off kind of like just as a joke, and then it kind of latched onto it. But this is a conversation I've got into many times in the last couple of weeks with several coaches on the topic. And, I try to make it super clear. It's not that I'm anti feed the cats. I believe that's a lot of what the feed the cats stuff is how you build speed and how you work through speed. But I think there's also a lot of other components that go into fitness for sport than just, 2 or 3 fly 10s. So there's a lot of layers and a lot of components to it. I like feed the cats, but I'm not sprint based football. All of those things. So where did this come from your perspective as somebody that was like, you know what, let's just throw this out there? Why was it necessary, and what's the distinction for coaches that aren't familiar?
What are you about to say, George?
I remember when you the first time you put that graphic up in our group chat. I was sitting there drinking my coffee, and I was like, "Oh, this is really violent."
Here we go.
I guess it started. I forget. Was it Coastal Carolina's coach that whole dog?
Coast.
I just. I've never really been on board. Maybe there was a short stint in my career where I thought, oh, we're just going to sprint, let practice handle it. But my mind kept going to nobody ever says I got that cat in me. Literally nobody ever says that. So I was like, I could start a feed the dogs thing and kind of shift the big pendulum swing back to the center, which is ultimately what feed the dogs is trying to do. Is you can sprint, but you can also condition smartly. You can do hard things. You can perform when you're under recovered. So I guess that's kind of where that spurred, and just kind of went down to pros and cons of feed the cats, and kind of came up with, I guess, some principles that I stand for, and I guess some other coaches value as well, like life. Again, in my situation, I'm not sending a ton of athletes to the next level. I feel that it's my job to teach them how to do athletic things, take care of their bodies long after they're done with me. And conditioning needs to be a big part of that, just for the longevity and health of just your overall life. So that's kind of where the feed the dogs came from, is yeah, there is mindless conditioning. But I feel like it's kind of a cop-out if you don't at least dive into how to navigate throwing a good conditioning program together to enhance a little value, whether that's from an athletic standpoint, your sport, or just life. To just say we don't do this and let the sport take care of it. Well, a lot of these kids are not going to play a sport the rest of their life. So how are they going to know how to condition themselves if they've never been taught? So a lot of my job is physical education, to teach this to them. And some things suck, right? Some things should be really hard. We don't necessarily do as hard of things in my class that I would like to do. Again, touching base on what I said earlier. But the tempos that we do, some of these kids think it's really hard, and mentally, it's hard for them to stay locked in for the 15-minute window that we're running, whatever work rest ratio that ends up being. In some of my videos, they hate tempos, and that's a hard thing for them. Yeah, that's a hard thing for them to do, but the benefits that they're going to have from a cardiac output standpoint, are just in learning to recover from doing hard things. So, I mean, I think that's kind of where, after the silliness of feed the dogs, I think that's kind of where I've landed on that, and the reason why I rolled with it.
But I think there's a really big and important distinction there too, is that, I think we can all agree on the fact that just 110s and gassers just mindlessly throwing in, 15, 20 110s with 16 seconds on and then 90 seconds off. That's not it. But so that nobody's advocating here for that style of conditioning. I definitely disagree that the answer is let's swing that pendulum all the way to the other side and let's do 3 or 4 sprints and be done with it. And and the important part about feed the dogs, in my opinion, is, like you said, it is that middle ground. It is the importance of intentionally programming conditioning to marry up with your speed work to develop kids from a developmental perspective for their sport and everywhere in between. It's not just running. Like we talked about earlier, like you've got bike sprints, you've got circuits in the weight room, you've got like there's a whole layer of all of these things. It's not just, hey, we're going to run tempos and we're going to do gassers. There's a lot of other options in between, because I mean, even from a scientific perspective, with the individuals that we have in our weight rooms being developmental athletes still in puberty, the hormonal aspect of conditioning is extremely important. Like the hormonal response to elevated heart rate at certain times is something you can't get from running 3 fly 10s, and hormones dictate a lot of growth. So if we're avoiding the things that help optimize our hormones, what are we going to do from that perspective to make up that ground if we are running 3 sprints? So I love the fact that Feed the Dogs isn't about, hey, we're anti everything and we're only doing, conditioning from an old school perspective, but we are going to expose you to some hard things. We are going to get you ready to play the game, and we're going to get you ready for life, to be healthy after whenever this athlete or the sport is over for this athlete. Sorry.
Very, very well put, Doctor. Better than I could have said.
Oh, Dr. Dan.
The DMs have been hot lately the last couple of weeks. So I had to get that off my chest.
But it's that point of it is that there still has to be conditioning. And I think, as I've said it quite a few times, like we all understand what dumb looks like. We understand what dumb looks like, carrying a light pole and pressing it over your head to say it's getting you more mentally tough. Like probably not in like the kids we work with, but there is a level of being able to perform when you're fatigued, and like, because sports don't happen in that like perfect world. So the when that first like graphic got posted, did you think it would take off the way that it did? Or like, did you think it would grab hold, or was it like, hey, I'm gonna put this out there, and then it was like, oh my God, like here we go.
I'm pretty petty. You guys know this. But it's usually in jest. I did not think that it would take off like it did.
Yeah.
It was kind of like I'd made this deal whenever I got on Instagram. I'm gonna post 100 straight days, and it was kind of, this is checking my box of posting today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I think it was on a Sunday, and it took off pretty quickly, and it got me blocked by somebody. But
it was aggressive. It's an aggressive morning.
But again, it was all just in jest, and
yeah.
But there's still principles that I hold and value in that post. So,
well, you train that way too. You train in a way of like, I'm gonna be the most physically capable person like in the room. Like we were kind of talking about it beforehand, right? Of like when we were talking about the games, like you're not gonna be able to outwork me. Like you may be better, but you're not gonna be able to outwork me. And that's similar to the way you train.
Yeah, and I guess that's to feed the dogs. I mean, man.
And you're freaking
inside,
shredded,
just waiting to get out. Where
Thank you,
are
Dan.
you?
He's just disappeared.
There you are.
I told you, we're on spring break, and we've got kids, man, like running all over the place. We've got WWE going on upstairs, so.
But like, you just pop back in, there was nothing on the screen. And like, there's just a voice.
Hey, I had my AirPods in the whole time. I could hear you guys. I could hear the whole conversation. I was trying to do it smoothly, and here you are calling me out for it. For anybody that's listened to the episode, like, yes, I left the screen for a minute. I'm sorry.
It was more like the surprise on my end. But how is that? So how it's been? How is the like conversations with coaches been? Because inevitably, like that's what you're hoping happens, right? When you post, you're hoping like conversations happen. So what is one of the more common questions that you get or are getting, or from coaches just trying to figure out what to do?
A lot of the questions that I get are how to incorporate these games that I do. And all right, what is smart conditioning look like? And I think, I mean, conditioning can be simple, but I think there has to be some research done and some navigation of how to do this without cooking your athletes, especially if you're dealing with teams together. I think it's even trickier to do it whenever you've got mixed athletes and some are in season and some are not.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, another reason that I don't go see God as often with them as I'd like to, but yeah, a lot of those questions are, well, what does this conditioning look like? How do you justify these small sided games? Are they doing this in season? And I don't want to say just sprinting only is the easy way out, but I don't think there's any diving into how to soundly produce a conditioning program for someone if we're just sprinting and letting the sport handle that, because I mean, you guys both know that some practices you're not accomplishing much from a conditioning standpoint. Like, and obviously there's no way to replicate the game, the intensities, the mental side of having to solve problems. So yes, I do think that practice will help check that box of having to solve some problems. If you've got a coach that runs a pretty good practice and sets those players up for that kind of problem solving. But I don't think there's anything that really can replicate the game, but we can damn sure try to get as close as we can to that, whether that's a really hard practice or checking some boxes from an aerobic standpoint to help practice more and repeat these outputs.
That's probably what gets missed, right? Is like, it's not like we condition a lot in the summer. Every day has that conditioning piece, but it's also as close as I can get to like work rest. We may not get the decision making in there, but as close as we can get to a work rest that we experience in a game. I think that's where people miss is they hear like what we grew up with of like, hey, you're gonna get online and you're gonna run till I get tired. I'm like, well, coach, you're sitting in a golf cart. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're probably never gonna get tired. That doesn't make sense. But being able to step through and say like, hey, and being able to say, I can see it getting better because we have this many high intensity outputs later in games. We've seen this happen over the course of a few years. Like, this is where we're guiding it. And that's probably where a lot of people, where I'm fortunate, Dan's fortunate, where we can have these abilities to do that with GPS. We have like timers, we have all of that, right? We can see these outputs later in games and be like, something's working. I think a lot of people would look at our conditioning and be like, holy crap, like, what are you doing? But I'm like, it's the way we play, and we have to be able to go. Like, we can't.
That's right.
As fast as we play with the fewer amount of kids that we have to find an X factor somewhere. And to me, I'm like, speed work is great, but speed typically isn't the issue, right? Speed is typically, I don't know. I haven't seen speed be the issue. It's like the ability to reproduce that over and over and over, especially later and later into games.
And that's something I was just having this conversation with another coach at the state clinic because we got onto this topic and we were talking, and he asked, what kind of, because this was the first year that I really dove into some of those conditioning things that we had talked about in those conversations of prescribing conditioning and activities and exercises. And he's like, well, what evidence do you have that it worked? I said, well, I have all of the game data from the year prior and all of the game data from this year. And I can tell you right now, based off our GPS numbers, number one, we were healthier this year from a game perspective, like who was available for the games. And then one of our top receivers, like the kid that's now at Auburn, the previous year, he hit his highest top speed week 4, and then it was downhill from there. And then this last year, he hit his highest top speed week 9 and his greatest number of sprint counts week 9. I don't think like from a conditioning perspective or from an evidence perspective, I don't think there's anything else that anybody can put on a table to say that it works more than that. You're fastest late in the season, and you have your ability to reproduce that sprint ability latest in the season. Like, there's something to it.
I think so many coaches neglect how important doing low intensity stuff is, just from a parasympathetic standpoint of like getting these kids like downgraded from this high intensity stuff and being able to recover. Like, your oxidative system is the reason that that heart rate's able to go down in 30 seconds in between plays. And it's low intensity. It should feel easy. And there's so many kids, and even adults, that feel like, I'm not getting anything out of this because I'm not sweating, I'm not dying. It should feel easy. Like, and I have a couple kids in each class that have their heart rate monitors that are able to track the stuff that we do.
That's cool.
But I've trained them privately, so they had every private client I have has a heart rate monitor, because in my mind that's a way to PR. Like, you just hit 180, your max heart rate, and you got it down to 60% of your heart rate max within 45 seconds. Like, those are like, the low intensity stuff helps you recover from that. And another beautiful thing about low intensity, you can do a ton of it. Like, you can do a ton of low intensity stuff to build up some tissue tolerance, your joint capacity. And I think it's so overlooked, and it's frustrating sometimes.
From on that frustration piece, right? You're like, it gets frustrating. I think people miss too, like, what low intensity means. So, like, in your head, when you say low intensity, right, I think a lot of people hear like the long, like, fat man shuffle type jogging, right? And that's not what you're talking about either. And so I think, like, clearing that up, what low intensity means and kind of defining that's important, right?
Yeah, like, so our low intensity, like our tempos are low intensity. I want them to be able to carry on a conversation with whoever they're running beside. Does that mean that your mechanics go to trash? Like, we can still have good running mechanics if we're not doing anything on foot where we're doing bear crawls or anything of that, especially like primal movements. The heart rate can get elevated very quickly if you're moving fast. So low intensity means I can carry on a conversation with you. I can be doing a bear crawl, nice and smooth, all my limbs moving together. I don't look like I'm freaking sprinting towards the end of the line to get done with these bear crawls. So in my mind, that's low intensity stuff. Like, we can hammer some really good mechanical postures that we're trying to achieve through low intensity stuff. And ideally, if the kid cares enough or the athlete cares enough, that's going to transfer over the faster we pick up the pace. I mean, it's just like breaking down a baseball swing or anything. Like, the slower you can break it down and just kind of go through the motions, we can stack a lot of volume that way. So when we piece it together, oh, this feels easy now. So yeah, that, in my mind, low intensity, you should be able to carry on a conversation. And don't even get me started on the whole stay away from the middle part, because I think that's BS too. Like, I guarantee you, and I don't have the GPS data that you guys do, but I guarantee you a lot of your games are played in that freaking middle ground of the heart rate. You got very few that are very max heart rate, and you got very few that are in what zone 2 is. A lot of it is that gray middle ground area. Why would you not at least touch that in practice or conditioning or any of that?
TK put something out about that. I think it was TK, about some of his heart rate data from games and practices. And like, games they're not played at zone 2. They're not played above 90% of heart rate. Like, they're played in that like 70 to 80 type range. Like, why would we not try to get better at that if that's where the majority of the game is? That doesn't make sense.
That dude's on a different level with his heart rate data. Gets me nerding out on it. Good for him.
It's hard. Like, and more power to him. But like I started like looking at the heart rate stuff, and I'm like, with everything else I got going on, like not a chance. Like, because I was like, this could be really big, especially for our big boys, right? I can be like, man, we can get into it, and I'm like, like another data point to try. Like, I'll just guess. To be honest, like I'll take our GPS stuff from the game and be like, hey, I'm guessing where you are based on like how you're feeling. So yeah, it is cool though. Like if I had the time and resources, like throwing a heart rate monitor on our big boys would be a huge priority because we missed that, I think.
100%.
One last question. So on the prescriptions, all right, we're talking about activities, we're talking about conditioning, we're talking about filling the buckets that we can't get at practice. All right, let's say it's late July. It's football because I'm a football guy and everybody knows I don't care about any other sports, but we're working with our football team here. All right. That's a lie, by the way. If anybody's listening, I do want all our other sports to win first place in everything we do. I just get labeled a football guy. But let's say it's late July. You're working with a football program. What are your top 3 exercises and prescriptions when it comes to preparing them? So practice is what we're doing in practice is not getting it done. What are your top 3 go-tos from an exercise perspective, whether that's a metabolic circuit, a bike, a sprint, whatever, and how are you programming those 3 activities?
We talking like lifts or conditioning prescriptions?
Could be a lift, like a lift circuit or like a metabolic circuit. Could be bikes. We got echo bikes. Could be on field. Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
The world is your oyster.
I am a fan of any type of EMOM. Just because I think you got your fixed time in there to recover in between. So I would probably do like one of them would probably be some type of barbell complex. Like you got to get 2 power cleans, 2 front squats, and 2 push press, and you're going to recover the remaining minute. Do that for like 6 sets. Like pushing the limit on that. So that would be one. You could fill in whatever 3 different lifts you wanted there. I would probably do some type of tempo run where it was like a float for a certain amount of time with some walking in there. And then the last one, I would do some type of like sprint repeats, 10 by 10s. Maybe even something tastier than that, where they might push the limits on throwing up. But it would be definitely short intervals, repeated with minimal amount of rest for a set. The rest between the sets would be a pretty big chunk, maybe 5 minutes between, similar to a 10 by 10. But I think those 3 for me would check a lot of boxes. And again, if you got dudes on your team, it don't really matter what those 3 are.
Like, have more dudes. That's number 4. Have more dudes.
Yeah.
I love the EMOM stuff. I started adding the EMOM to my my dynamic effort work, like on my speed bench and speed squat days, like starting whether I'm doing 10 sets of 2, 8 sets of 3, 12 sets of 2, whatever, starting the set on the minute for myself. And it's been like my max effort ability has gone through the roof. Like I'm not needing 5 minutes to recover from each set after 95%. So awesome.
Wrong.
That's fake news.
I'm sorry. My bad.
I like EMOMs because I know exactly how long a set's going to take.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, I wear a chest strap every time I work out, so I know, like, my heart rate data is going to look like little baby shark teeth shooting up, and I'm recovering before that next minute. And I like AMRAPs, but I like either some type of rest built in the AMRAPs or some type of you're not going on that next round until your heart rate's below 60%.
Like some time constraint.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the AMRAPs of you're going to get as many rounds in 10 minutes as you can, kill yourself. Like I want to be able to see how quick you can recover. But yeah, I'm a fan of the EMOMs, AMRAPs. I think a lot of high school kids don't need more complexity. And I can't speak for the college sector, but I think they just need better execution, more consistency. There's no need to get like complex with a lot of them if you can just stack better execution and consistency with them.
But the answer isn't just avoiding them? I'm sorry.
That is not the answer. We're Buffalo here. We go through the storm. We feed the buffaloes with the dogs.
We just feed the animals and hope for the best, and the best animal wins.
I just hope everybody has fun, you know?
Yeah. I think you answered it there with, we've kind of been wrapping up with this thought of what would you like to see change? So if we take out your more conditioning answer and like not avoiding it, what is something you wish like in the field would change, either positively or negatively? It doesn't have to be like, this is stupid, I want this to go away, but what is something you think the field would be better off for if it changed?
Quit arguing over stupid shit online, man.
Yeah.
Like, what you do, George, has no effect on what I'm running. Like, your logistics are way different than mine. Like, I've been guilty of it too, but like, if you're going to have these bickering fests, like, do them with your homies in a group chat. Like, there's no point of arguing online because there's very few percentages that like having an argument online that you're going to change my mind. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, okay, cool. You feed the cats, whatever works for you, bro. Like, I don't believe in that, but you're not running my gym or my classes. So I think that's
outside
the biggest
of scientific principles, there's no absolutes in what we do.
Bingo.
You're such a freaking doctor.
Such a doctor. All right, Tyler, wrapping up. You got anything you wanna leave the people with? A parting thought? Get kind of Hot Ones style. You get your 30 seconds of whatever Tyler wants to talk about here.
No, bro. If you can be anything, be kind. Just be kind to one another. Yeah. I think it really would. Like we all got stuff we're dealing with, so
yeah.
I enjoyed this. Thank you guys for having me on.
Appreciate you popping on. Episode 9 will be up soon. We're starting to kind of catch a little bit of a flow here, so that's nice. Catching a little bit of a flow just to probably interrupt it again here in about a week. So, but we appreciate y'all listening. Episode 9 with the Dawgfather himself, Tyler Franklin. See y'all.
What's up, everybody? We're super fired up to announce our new partnership with Nuke Hydration, something that was born super organically as a sports drink. Just trying to find something that actually fuels training really well outside of just pumping our bodies full of sugar. And so it's organic lime juice, coconut water, some Celtic sea salt, all put into this package that is unreal. And so we're super fired up to be partnering with them and them helping us out with the podcast. There is going to be a promo code listed in the notes. Go ahead, grab that, scoop up your first case of Nuke. Go ahead, get it delivered to you. It's a great company, born with really, really good intention. So we're fired up to be partnering with them.